All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to do my first 7-round New York Jets mock draft of the offseason. I absolutely love doing these. I'm always looking forward to them. And please let me know your mock draft down below in the comment section, right? Who do you have the Jets going with at spot number 10? Luckily for the Jets, the positions that we really need, this draft is really deep in. Okay, so whether it's wide receiver, tackle, whatever position you're interested in, chances are there's going to be multiple options for the Jets, whether we're talking in the first round or in the mid rounds. But let's not waste time. Let's jump right into the 10th overall pick. I'm going Olu Fashanu, left tackle from Penn State, 6'6", 310 pounds, only 21 years old, but possesses incredible pass protection. That's something that the New York Jets need immediately. We needed it last year. We needed it the season before that. We need guys. We need tackles who can pass protect. Fashanu is super athletic. He has a really high ceiling. Super explosive coming out of a standstill as well. Fashanu, right off the bat, right, the second he would arrive in Florham Park, he would be the best tackle on the Jets, right off the bat. And whenever you're talking about adding a guy and the second he comes in, he is the best on the team, that is super, enticing. He has a lot of playing experience, didn't allow a single sack in his first 2 seasons of college football. Then in 2022, he was absolutely dominant, really burst out onto the scene. People considered him a top 10 pick at that point in time. And then, of course, fast forward a year later, we're still talking about him as a top 10 pick here. So when it comes to the debate or discussion, right, Joe Alt versus Fashanu, in this set mock draft, I had Joe Alt going to the Titans at spot number 7, but I think right off the bat, Fashanu gives you that better pass blocking ability. Early on, I think he does have a higher ceiling, but Joe Alt, maybe he's considered the safer prospect, definitely a lot better in the running game right off the bat. Both players off the field are really good as well. Great leaders, great teammates. Both guys are extremely professional. But again, Fashanu, right off the bat, best tackle on the team, has a decorated college career, and pass protection. Blindside, Aaron Rodgers. We do not need to see him continuing to get sacked. The Jets quarterbacks last season were sacked constantly. Fashanu would be a huge boost in that area. Fast forwarding to round 3, obviously the Jets don't have a second round pick as of right now, right? Filming this video, who knows about a potential trade, but our next pick is in the 3rd round, pick 72 overall. I'm going Johnny Wilson, wide receiver from Florida State, one of my favorite players to watch the last 2 seasons. He's absolutely enormous, right? 6'7", but he runs a 4.4 40. He's a dominant run blocker. You look at Johnny Wilson's catch radius, his size that he possesses. I mean, Alan Lazard is a big dude. Jason Brownlee's a big dude, but Johnny Wilson's bigger. He almost kind of looks like a tight end out there. And again, in the running game, we know that the Jets offensive staff really values wide receivers who can block well. I mean, of course, every team likes that, but not only is he just a good run blocker, but he's actually really good. I would say that's one of his strengths of his game. He had just over 600 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns, and I know the numbers aren't really there, but if we look at Johnny Wilson in the Florida State offense, he was the number 2. He was the number 2 wide receiver on that team behind Keon Coleman, who's a freaking beast. I'm seeing mock drafts with him going in the 2nd round. I mean, I think he's a bona fide first rounder easily. Super athletic, just so fun to watch. One hand grabs all over the place. I think Keon Coleman's going to be a steal for whoever lands him. Unfortunately, he's not going to be here in round 3, but Johnny Wilson, again, he gives you the size. He gives you a nice complement to Garrett Wilson on the other side of the field. He can help out in both the pass game and the running game. You don't really have to pull him out. Upside, as well as experience, being that number 2 guy, not going to come in and be a headache or anything like that. So I really like Johnny Wilson here in the 3rd round. Next up, round 4, pick 104. I'm going tackle from Mizzou, Javon Foster. This is somebody who I don't feel like is getting talked about enough. 6'5", 320 pounds, 5 years of experience back with the Tigers. Obviously, Mizzou dominated last year. And Foster had the best season of his college career, right? No sacks, no quarterback hits allowed in 12 games, a total of 831 snaps. I mean, man, you're talking about top-end competition here in the SEC. 5 years experience coming off the best season of his career. I really like how Foster projects to the NFL level. Now, granted, he's been the left tackle, and in this mock, Fashanu's going to be the team's left tackle. So whether we're going to be taking him and plugging him at right, we need to lock down this tackle position. I don't want to be grasping for straws 4 weeks into the season saying, well, this player's hurt, we don't have any depth here, now we have to move this guy's position, like we've been doing the past couple of seasons. I need to fill this offensive line up with talent. Right, that's what I'm doing. I'm putting an emphasis, and even if it's overkill, I would much rather go down that path than not enough. Right, so you can take a Foster and just instantly plug him in at right tackle. Not really, unless he blows you away. If he doesn't win the job, that's totally fine. He's on the rookie deal. He can go out and compete with a Carter Warren, a Max Mitchell, and potentially a free agent, and then see what happens the following year. Right, all of a sudden you can be landing your 2 bookend tackles in one draft class. Obviously, Fashanu's the much better, prospect as of right now. But Foster. By the way, Senior Bowl. Foster's at the Senior Bowl this season. Starts in a couple days. Keep your eye out on him. Tackle from Missouri. I think, based off the practices and whatnot, we could see him rise. Okay, so sticking with the Jets' second 4th round pick here, it's originally from the Denver Broncos. I'm going defensive tackle / defensive end from LSU, Mason Smith. Super athletic, versatile defensive lineman, a former 5-star here. This is somebody who's flashed, has ultra talent, right? A humongously high ceiling, isn't the perfect prospect, right? Definitely has a couple weaknesses, but again, we're talking about round 4 here, and an underrated storyline for the New York Jets is the depth on the defensive line, especially if we let Bryce Huff walk, right? So whether you want Huff back, you want to give him as much as he's asking for, you just want it back, or you're going to want to take that money and invest it in the offensive line. Either way, the Jets are still going to be down because we have to account for Al Woods being on a 1-year deal. We have to account for Solomon Thomas being on a 1-year contract. Quentin Jefferson, 1-year contract. Right, so we have, despite us having some nice young pieces, Quinnen, Jermaine, Will McDonald all locked up, it doesn't look like Carl Lawson's going to be back. We might need some depth here. And one thing that we do know about Jeff Ulbrich and Robert Saleh, they like to rotate guys in and out. So if we don't have the bodies to do that, if we don't have the talent there, then it might be a little tricky to, go about our daily, our weekly plans every single Sunday. So not only do we just know about the rotation that these guys like to run, but we also know that they seem to maximize whatever defensive lineman comes to the Jets. They seem to develop at a really nice rate. Outside of Carl Lawson, I really feel like everybody's right where they need to be, or they're exceeding expectations. I guess you can maybe look at John Franklin Meyer's numbers and say maybe it's not, maybe it doesn't match what he's getting paid on an annual basis. But you could just go down the list of every younger player or even a veteran. Quentin Jefferson's coming off the best season of his career, right? Especially as a pass rusher. This staff, although I have my complaints about the staff, this staff knows how to develop defensive linemen. And again, with Smith here, ultra talented, has it in him, has flashed at LSU, top end competition. I think he's just looking for consistency. He needs really good coaching to kind of keep that high end play out every single snap. Now, luckily for the Jets, he's not going to have to come in and start right away. Another guy that the Jets have too is Perion Winfrey. Totally excited to see what he can do with the green and white next season. I feel like his role will be a lot bigger. But in any case here, mid-round 4, we're going Mason Smith from LSU. Okay, moving down to round 6, pick 186, we're going Cedric Johnson, defensive end from Ole Miss. 6'3", 265 pounds. Johnson is an athletic freak, right? Extremely strong and versatile. He needs coaching, but he has a super, super high upside, 4 years experience. Much like the pick with Smith, it's kind of in the same thinking here, right? If the Jets so happen to lose Bryce Huff, we can kind of just replenish the pipeline, right? We're looking at the defensive end position, Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Carl Lawson. Again, I'm expecting him to leave, but we also have JFM and Michael Clemens. I think if we do lose a couple guys, Lawson and Huff, it's just nice to keep the pipeline going. And I know we need so much help on the offensive side of the football, but we're going with 2 defensive linemen here in the back-to-back picks, but we're talking round 4 and round 6. I want guys with high upsides that I feel confident, hey, they can develop with the current coaching staff in place. Next up, first pick in round 7 here, I'm going tackle/guard from USF, Donovan Jennings. 6'5", 333 pounds, 5 years of experience here. Now, he does project to the NFL more so as a guard, but he's been the Bulls' starting left tackle for years now. He has a lot of starts under his belt, right? You look at the overall performance, he's allowed 8 sacks in 5 years, 43 total games. The big knock on Jennings is the strength. Scouts don't necessarily know if he provides, that top end strength to hold off top end pass rushers, right? The linebackers off the edge, the bigger defensive ends. They just don't know if he can be that franchise left tackle for that reason. So again, a lot of people are projecting him to the NFL as a guard, but either way, I'm cool with it, right? If the Jets view him as a tackle, awesome. If they don't and they want to kick him inside, totally cool with that as well. Why? Because the Jets need help in a lot of different areas here. And the one kind of common theme throughout this class, or, this mock draft, is I like selecting guys with a lot of experience here. A lot of experience. That's something that I feel like the Jets really need because we're win now, because we looked at last year's class and there was a lot of developmental selections made. We didn't really see Izzy until later in the season. Joe Tippmann wasn't a starter early on. Will McDonald obviously rotating at defensive end. So I want a lot of guys in this draft class to where they're coming in at an older age. They might be more developed. I think in the event that they have to play or there's some freak injury or something like that, we're not just completely screwed saying, okay, we have to go out and play this offensive lineman. Yeah, we like his ceiling. We like where he can, what he can be one day, but he only has 12 college games under his belt. No, let's go out and get a guy like Jennings who has 40 plus under his belt. So that's kind of my mindset here with the mock draft. But 2 more picks, sticking around 7. Next up, we're going Logan Lee, defensive lineman from Iowa, a versatile defensive lineman from Iowa. He's received great coaching. We all know the Hawkeyes to pump out defensive linemen, really offensive linemen too for that matter. Coming in at 6'5", 290, Lee is super athletic, right? Explosive off the line. He's a former tight end. He gives you a presence on special teams, hard worker, big time motor. I think not the biggest guy in the world, but again, much like a lot of these guys, has a lot of college experience, very good against the run, and he's kind of just the plug and play. I don't want to say, cliche like Swiss Army knife on the defensive line, because he's not the biggest guy in the world. He's not the strongest guy in the world, which is why we're talking about him going in round 7 here, and where a lot of people project him to go in rounds, really round 6 to 7. But, I think potentially after the combine, after pro days and whatnot, when teams really dive into what Lee could potentially give you on the defensive line. I'm not saying he's going to be a top end, top 15 defensive lineman in football. No, not really at all. But he does give you a glue guy, somebody that you can just drop in, or drop in on special teams. He's going to work really, really hard, give you that full-time effort, work 110%, and he does have some really, really nice ability to stop the run, which I like, clogging holes and whatnot, and super explosive, like we talked about before, super explosive off the line. Last but not least, round 7, pick 256, we're going back to Florida State. We're going safety Akeem Dent, 6'1", 190. Great instincts. He's explosive. He's a big time hitter. Redshirt senior, has a lot of starts under his belt. I think when we're looking at the safety position right now, will Ashton Davis be brought back? Will Jordan Whitehead be brought back? I like Tony Adams a lot. We did lose Trey Dean though, right? He was a practice squad. He ended up getting picked up. I think this is a room where we can't overlook, right? We're so focused on tackle. We're so focused on, depth on the offensive line. We're focused on wide receiver. We're focused on veteran backup. We can't let safety slip through the cracks here. We cannot do it, right? That was one of the biggest weaknesses Saleh's first year with the Jets, where they were getting burned over the top left and right. Right, the Jets actually had the 31st ranked defense his first season as Jets head coach. Again, big plays over the top. We just didn't have the speed. We didn't have the instincts back there. Ashton, Davis has developed nicely as the years have, kind of gone by. But I feel like again, in round 7, let's go for a safety who can cover tight ends. Maybe he's not going to be, a top 2, top 3 safety in this class, but somebody with a lot of experience, somebody who gives you attitude, somebody who can come up and stop the run. I think if we're talking round 7, we're not necessarily talking about a starter, but given how the Jets safety room is looking like right now, he could very well be the go-to backup his rookie season. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. I really try to, like we kind of talked about before, I tried to really focus in on experienced players, guys that stood out to me throughout the course of the college season. Team needs, of course, scheme fits, of course, not a super big emphasis on the scheme fits, because I'm not really sure how long Hackett is going to be here. That's just me being honest. So I wanted to go with guys that I feel like, are plug and play for any coaching staff. They're not so scheme specific, if you will. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, go Jets.